So recently I've been given a key to a special game I had no idea existed. It's a game that doesn't have a lot of publicity around it because, of course, it's an indie project and they don't have all the money in the world to let people know about it. Like the AAA studios out there, it's not super well known, and it's also releasing on February 12th, so myself being a huge fan of indie games made with passion, I had to check it out. What I've discovered though is a really fun and polished experience that kind of reminds of Skyrim in a sense. It's just not an open world. Welcome to Darkblade Ascent. It is shaping up to be one of the most exciting action roguelikes I've seen the past year at the least. The combat feels tight, responsive, and genuinely rewarding, striking that perfect balance between strategy and fast-paced action. It's not simply about swinging a weapon, you have to learn enemy attack patterns, time your dodges, and decide when to go in for the kill. The variety in playstyles is pretty impressive too. You can be a heavy-hitting berserker, a quick and agile fighter, or even lean into elemental magic for a completely different approach. And because weapons and upgrades are randomly generated, every run is different and they actually feel different as well. One moment you might be wielding a massive hammer, smashing through enemies with raw power, and the next you're dancing around them with a spear, staying just out of reach. It keeps the gameplay fresh, challenging, and pretty addicting. Every choice you make, from the weapon you pick up to the upgrades you select, impacts how you approach combat. No two runs feel exactly the same, which makes every session exciting and unpredictable. You're constantly adapting, and that's what makes it so engaging. Every decision you make shapes how your run plays out, making each attempt feel new and rewarding. What really stands out to me is the atmosphere and world design. The environments are dark, moody, and beautifully crafted, making every area feel pretty distinct from one another, whether you're fighting through crumbling dungeons, abandoned villages, or dark cemeteries. It's got that dark fantasy vibe, which I love. The level design isn't just about looks either. Each area seems to have randomized layouts, so exploration feels fresh, and it's great to find little secrets and places. There's a real sense of mystery and danger in every location, with ambient lighting, deep shadows, and dark sound design, which lets you know the developers have worked hard on this aspect. Now let's talk about the enemies, because so far they aren't just random NPCs running at you waiting to be killed. They're tough, aggressive, and force you to adapt. Some will rush you down, others will bait out your dodges, and bosses have multiple phases that completely shift the fight's dynamics. This makes every battle feel tense and rewarding, and when you finally take down a tough enemy, it's incredibly satisfying. And by the way, Darkblade is releasing in just a couple of days, so check it out on Steam. You can't just hack and slash your way through. You need to be tactical, patient, and smart about your approach. And even when you die, the game keeps you engaged with persistent character progression, meaning every run helps you unlock new abilities, improve your build, and get one step closer to conquering the game's toughest challenges. It's that perfect mix of difficulty and progression that keeps you coming back for one more run. I just love how much freedom the game gives you to experiment. You aren't locked into one playstyle. You can switch things up on the fly, trying out different weapons and builds depending on what drops you get. Maybe one run you find an amazing two-handed sword that deals massive crit damage, and the next you're using a fast poison-coated dagger to whittle enemies down. Then there are the elemental abilities, which add another layer of depth. Fire builds focus on AoE destruction, lightning stuns enemies for brutal melee follow-ups, and poison builds allow for hit and run tactics. The mix of melee combat and magic makes for some awesome combos, and it really encourages creativity in how you approach fights. You're not just going through the motions, you're adapting, strategizing, and fine-tuning your playstyle as you go. One of my favorite things about roguelikes is when they let you create completely different builds each time you play, and Darkblade Ascent seems to nail that feeling of discovery and experimentation. You never know what weapons, abilities, or upgrades you're going to find, which makes every run exciting and unpredictable. But beyond just the gameplay mechanics, the progression system system is another thing that makes this game stand out. A lot of roguelikes start you over from scratch every time you die, but Darkblade Ascent has persistent character upgrades, meaning you're always making progress even after a tough loss. That's a huge deal because it keeps you motivated to keep pushing forward. Instead of feeling like you wasted a run after dying, you're gaining experience, unlocking new abilities, and refining your skills so that next time you'll go even further. And with multiple unique classes and talent trees, there's a ton of depth in how you can develop your character. Maybe you start out playing as a straightforward melee fighter, but as you progress you unlock a completely new class with game-changing abilities that totally shift how you approach combat. That's the kind of thing that keeps the experience fresh and exciting even after dozens of playthroughs. If you love games that challenge you, reward skillful play, and keep you coming back with tons of replayability, Darkblade Ascent is definitely worth checking out. It's got the depth of an RPG, the fast-paced action of a hack and slash, and the unpredictable excitement of a roguelike, all wrapped in a dark fantasy world that feels immersive and dangerous. The game launches February 12th, so if any of this sounds interesting to you, go wishlist it on Steam and keep an eye out. If you guys enjoyed this video, support it, and of course check out the game's Steam page because there ain't much time left before you can all try it out. Now enjoy the rest of the gameplay.